But I want to direct my remarks today, in view of the time limit, on the integrity of the Vote Leave campaign and those who ran it in this country. But I want to direct my remarks today, in view of the time limit, on the integrity of the Vote Leave campaign and those who ran it, including who advises them. Because I think that their conduct concerning the Vote Leave campaign undermines the vote that took place in 2016. For around 2 years, I've worked on the DCMS Sub-Committee inquiry on disinformation and fake news, and I now have a detailed knowledge of actions of the Vote Leave campaign, which I did not have when I voted to leave the European Union in this House. The Vote Leave campaign broke electoral law by conspiring to break campaign spending limits, and it did so in a document that is produced by the Electoral Commission and which refers to emails and information from Dominic Cummings, who was working as the campaign director for the Vote Leave campaign and conspired with another organisation to suggest the following. He said, "There is another organisation that could spend your money. Would you be willing to send the £100,000 to some social media ninjas who could usefully spend it on behalf of this organisation? I'm very confident it would be well spent in the final crucial 5 days. Obviously, it would be entirely legal. In fact, it was entirely illegal, and it was for that offence that the Vote Leave campaign was found to have committed electoral offences. And the effect of the Vote Leave campaign and the illegality of that campaign was that they were fined, and those fines have been accepted by the Vote Leave campaign itself. But unlike in general elections, the result of the breaking of the law in the referendum campaign is not to overturn the result, it is simply to impose a financial penalty. Now, the DCMS Select Committee wanted to speak to Mr Cummings because his evidence is directly relevant to the inquiry and work that we've been carried out. We wanted to speak to him about the relationship with a Canadian company called AIQ, and we asked him to come to speak to us and give us information. He was in contempt of Parliament because he refused to come to give evidence. So he disrespected Parliament. When he was appointed as the Prime Minister's advisor, after he'd been found to be in contempt of Parliament, the committee of the DCMS Select Committee wrote again asking the Prime Minister to instruct Mr Cummings to give evidence. The Prime Minister has refused and is thereby obstructing a parliamentary inquiry. That's the conduct of the Prime Minister, and that's real disrespect for Parliament. We also know that the Secretary of State for the Cabinet Office, who was a co-convener in the campaign, is now in charge of electoral reform and also data protection in the Cabinet Office. Well, at least I thought that was the case, because yesterday I asked him whether he had overall control for all the matters in his department. And he said that he wasn't in control of data protection and he wasn't in control of electoral matters, which is very odd because they're situated in his department. What was even more extraordinary was that when I checked the website today of the Cabinet Office, it had changed since yesterday. The Secretary of State for the Cabinet Office has deliberately taken steps to avoid responsibility for the role that he played in the Vote Leave campaign. That is, to quote David Cameron, mendacious, and the Secretary of State needs to come to this chamber urgently to explain his role in the Vote Leave campaign and what was involved.